Hello everybody and welcome to Starting Small Music. I'm Justin McCormick and you're about to hear a conversation with an artist, musician, and music industry professional on their journey and how they got to where they are today. At Starting Small, we like to take you on a journey uncovering the untold stories of your favorite songs and artists. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Just keep a smile on your face and it'll be okay. Try not to be bitter, you gotta do it either way. Keep a smile on your face and it'll be okay. So when life throws a jab, you gotta duck out of the way.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Starting Small Music Podcast. Today we have Josh McAfee with us, bassist for Dylan Schneider. How you doing today, Josh?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
No problem, man. So getting right into your story, you grew up in Toledo, Ohio. What was your childhood like?
Oh, I think standard childhood, I guess. Well, my dad's a guitar player, so I guess I had a little music going on. But, went to school, played sports, did the whole nine, and then
For sure.
kind of thing, yeah.
What kind of music was kind of getting played around the house when you were growing up?
Oh, rock.
Yeah?
80s rock. That was it. That was like, well, my mom loved like Motley Crue and that kind of stuff, Guns N' Roses, and my dad was into that too, but also, into like Mr. Big and Van Halen and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of what I was listening to until my dad kind of went country around 2003 or so.
Oh, cool.
And then that's when country started coming into the fold.
Was your dad touring or was he playing like local gigs?
Yeah, he toured back in like the 80s and the 90s.
Oh, no way.
And then when I was born, he kind of started doing like more local stuff. But yeah, he's been doing it for my whole life.
Wow.
And his, probably.
Would you say that rock's kind of what got you into music then, or was it when you kind of went through that country phase?
Yeah, it was definitely rock.
Yeah.
It sounds bad to say, but I didn't really like country music.
Hey, we all come to it at some point.
And then I think when I was about 18 years old, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This ain't that bad. I like this.
Now, was the bass the first instrument you picked up? Because, I mean, your dad was playing guitar. He's like, I need a bassist, or did you play some guitar too?
No, I actually played the drums.
Oh, no way.
My
Cool.
brother is a bass player.
Oh, very cool.
So my dad plays guitar, and I was like, well, we need a drummer for the band.
Yeah.
I kind of did that for elementary school. And then, through junior high, I played in like marching band and, not marching band yet, but regular band, concert band, played the bells and snare drum and stuff. And then 8th grade, we had this 8th grade Battle of the Bands every year, or talent show or something like that. And I was not the best drummer in my friend group. There was a guy who was way better than me.
Yeah.
And there's 2 great guitar players, and there was no bass players among us, but I owned a bass because my dad and brother had one, and I was like, well, so that's how I became the bass player. We played Meant to Live by Switchfoot at the talent show. And ever since then, I've been a bass player. So
Did you guys win?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, heck yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. We had our band director play sax for us.
That's
It
dope.
was wild, yeah.
How do you think being from drums and going to bass, did that help? Like you kind of get that pocket in the bass right when you picked it up?
I'd say absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You get to feel the rhythm, feel the pocket, feel where the kick is supposed to be. I know where the kick's supposed to be. I think that helps a lot, yeah.
For sure. Now in high school, were you kind of starting your own groups playing around town after that Battle of the Bands? Or what was that looking like?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in like metal bands and rock bands.
Oh, cool.
Pop punk bands, that kind of stuff. The Farther I Fall was my biggest metal band at the time. We were kind of talking to labels a little bit, trying to do a little touring things.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of how that started until about 18 when the country thing started knocking on the door.
Yeah. So like in high school, the whole time are you kind of plotting out like I want to get to Nashville, or you want to make a move to LA? What was that kind of looking like in the high school years?
In high school, I probably wanted LA.
Yeah.
I would say, because that's where all the rock bands were going, I guess. I don't know, we were into like really heavy music at the time, so we wanted to just kind of come out here and, the Sunset Strip we idolized, obviously, from back in the 80s, just looking at all that, like, oh, that's so cool.
Right.
Nashville kind of, I guess, as high school progressed, I think around 18, like senior year or so, I started really getting into country and then being like, okay, Nashville's the place to go. And then
Totally.
That's where I just had to figure out a way to get there, kind of thing.
So did you just pretty much pack it up and go after graduation, or did you kind of have to plan it out for a minute?
No, my rock band, we were trying to go on little tours, we were talking to some labels, it just kind of didn't work out. And we also forego going to college. At the time, I auditioned to be a jazz major at somewhere, and then it just didn't work out because we're like, oh, well, we're going on tour, we're going to be rock stars, we don't need to go to college.
Right.
So we tried to do that. Well, that didn't work out, so we came back, and I was just like, well, I have to go. So I started going to the University of Toledo, on my hometown, and we kind of did that for a minute, and then my dad had this guy, because my dad's like was the country guy in town basically, so he had this artist over at his house named Brent Lowry, and he's like, well, I'm starting a band, I need a bass player, and I was like, oh cool, you know, what kind of music? He's like, country, and I was like, country? And then from there I was like, okay, maybe I'll do it, because he was paying me $100 a gig as opposed to $100 in total for our rock band if we were lucky, kind of thing.
Right.
So it was kind of cool, and then from there it got country, so we started doing that for a little bit, for a couple years, and I met my wife at a church, and she was a singer too. She was a worship leader there, and she also liked country music too, so we kind of did the church stuff for a little bit, worship music and that kind of stuff, and then we went to country from there, and then so a couple years, and then when we were about 22, 23, said, all right, we got to do it now while we're still young, otherwise we'll still be thinking about it forever. Like, we should have moved. So just got packed all our stuff and moved down to Nashville.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what did those first couple years look like networking for you when you first moved to town? Like, were you going out to writers' nights? Because I know you were trying to do a little writing too when you first moved to town, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd go to all the writers' rounds, Whiskey Jam. It's this big like showcase thing, Bus Call, which is something similar. We'd kind of hang out those Mondays and Wednesday nights, kind of networking, trying to play with people, you know, walking up and down Broadway, of course, trying to introduce yourself there, meet just any kind of music opportunity. I was just like trying to get my foot in the door any way I could.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, so how do you end up meeting Dylan? Because so we had Jordan Merrigan on the show, and he talked about how he joined the band. It was through being roommates with Joey. How did you kind of get acquainted with all them?
Well, there's this thing called Nashville Gig Finder.
Oh, yeah.
In Nashville on Facebook.
Really?
And I remember it was probably like 2016, 2017. Someone just posted like, hey, I need a bass player like this weekend to go to Texarkana. And I've never toured really like that before. Like we, you know, would go up and down like I-75 from Ohio to like, you know, Tennessee maybe.
Right.
But we never really went further than that. So it was like, Texarkana, wow, that's incredible. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. The guy's like, okay, cool. Like I was like the only one to respond, or maybe the first one to respond or something. So I show up at this rehearsal, and it has Tom Salin, who was the guitar player for Dylan at the time.
Yep.
And then the drummer was Kip Allen, who played for David Dawson. So it was like, all of a sudden I was thrown in with these people that were like
these pros,
in decent gigs, you know, and I was like, oh gosh, this is wild, you know. And so we did that, and I didn't hear from him for a couple months, but then my buddy Tom that night was like, hey, do you want to go to Whiskey Jam? I got this buddy playing, his name's Dylan Schneider, I want to go watch him, if you want to just come with me. And I was like, yeah, sure. And Dylan was 17 at the time. He had 2 black X's on his hand, kind of thing. And we kind of like, he played, and I was like, oh, wow, this guy's really good. You know, and I introduced myself to him, and I didn't think anything of it. Then a few months later, I get a call from the MD for Dylan, like, hey, we need a bass player for this artist named Dylan Schneider. And I was like, wow. And I thought Tom was the one who sent my name to him, because Tom's playing guitar for him. But he didn't. It was the drummer who gave it to the bass player, and it was just like really just a weird like coincidence that I met Dylan that night at Whiskey Jam, but then they called me several months later, and they had no idea, you know.
That's totally dope.
Yeah, it was cool.
Now, so I'm actually from Indiana, so I literally, I feel like I was one of the first people to see Dylan do the Rise, you know, like I remember just watching covers and stuff, and seeing you guys on the road doing Tin Roofs, even touring with Chris Lane and Granger Smith. Yeah. What do you remember about those early kind of days on the road?
Oh, those are the best days, man. Granger Smith and especially his band, like those are the best guys in country music, I think. Like they really made an impression on us and me. They were really cool, and like we still talk to them to this day. Like they still DM me, and message me, and still text them. It's pretty cool. Like
that's awesome.
Those guys are the best. And I was really glad that we did that. We still play with them every once in a while. Hopefully a little more this year, because we miss those guys.
For sure. Is there anything that you feel like you learned during those first early days, kind of like really being on the road?
Don't spend all your money. You're not on vacation. You're at work. That's the hardest part, I think, at first, is because you're like, oh my God, we're out here. We're in Los Angeles. Let's go spend all our money on In-N-Out Burger and stuff, you know.
Right.
Then you kind of learn, like, okay, you gotta be careful on that kind of stuff, and you gotta sleep. You want to stay up till 5 a.m. every night partying, but that's not gonna work out in the long run.
Yeah.
You gotta find some time to rest a little bit.
For sure.
Those are kind of little things, I guess, you pick up.
What's it been like kind of being with Dylan throughout the whole rise of literally playing clubs to now playing amphitheaters and stadiums open, you know, like, what's it been like?
Oh, it's been cool. I've been playing with Dylan for almost 7 years now. And yeah, it's wild seeing people, playing like tin roofs to huge festivals of thousands of people, you know, tens of thousands of people. We played to, we played the Opry, which is wild, you know.
Right, you made your debut last year, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was
stepping on
Dylan's
the stage?
second time, but that was my first time with him. That was incredible. That's it. That's all you want to do as a country musician, you know. And that was the best day of my life, other than my wedding, of course.
Now, do you have a favorite song in the set that gets you hyped every time you hear it when it's coming up?
I like "Teach Me How to Country."
Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
That whole record is so good with that one and Bad Thing About a Back Road, all that record.
Tune. Oh yeah, I love "Teach Me How to Country" in the set because it's just kind of like a let's go kind of song to me. And plus the second verse, I get to play the guitar riff.
Oh, no way.
That's my favorite part. Like, oh yeah, I get to do something cool. Yeah.
So, I mean, you guys are out here in Los Angeles playing the Roxy tonight, and you especially being from the rock world, I mean, that has to be so cool playing an iconic stage like that.
It is, man. On Sunset Strip, I was like, that's cool, that's awesome, we're playing there, sweet. We played in LA a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time, like, iconic venue that's like, wow, this is sweet. So yeah, I'm excited.
For sure. And then how many more dates do you guys have on this run before are you guys going back to Nashville in between dates? Or?
We have 3 more that we're going to stay out here. We're playing San Jose, San Diego, and Vegas. And then we'll drive home for about a weekend, or about a week, and then we're going to go back out again. I don't know where that starts in February, but we got about maybe 9 more shows in February, and then like 3, 4, 5 in March, and then a couple in April, kind of thing on this tour.
Awesome. And then probably some festivals coming up later.
Yeah, we're
year.
hoping, see what. I'm sure the year's gonna start picking up like really soon. So
for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, man. And so, what is like a Dylan Schneider show like? If you had to put like a couple words to it, like what's a set of seeing you guys play like?
I think he goes when some shows start like this. Go up on. I think we start right here and we don't stop. Like, I don't know how Dylan has the energy he does, but it's a live show and we get hype. It goes pretty big.
For sure.
Dylan's just running around and singing, and he's a rock star, you know. So it's really fun to watch, especially just seeing him grow from 16 to 23, like how he's grown as a performer. And like, I think the shows are just better than they've ever been right now. We're all really excited.
For sure. Now, I like to close my interviews asking, what's a piece of advice you've learned on your journey in music that you give to all the younger musicians out there?
I think the bass players specifically, and musicians or drummers specifically, is, I guess every musician is, don't overplay. That's what I learned really quickly. I wouldn't say quickly, but what I learned that really finally got me in my stride is, it's like, you're like a big fish in a small pond in your hometown kind of thing. Like, you think you're the best, so you're like, oh, I need to go to Nashville. I'm so good. I'm going to play with everybody. Yeah. Then you come to Nashville and you realize, no, you're not good, bro. Everybody's good. Like, everyone's better than you. Everyone's been here longer. Everybody knows more people than you. So I think, like, a good thing for a young musician is to learn your place in the band. Like, the bass player doesn't need to be doing runs and playing busy and stuff in the middle of a pop country song, you know what I mean? Yeah. Same with drummers, you don't need to do metal fills and stuff. This is what's going to get you hired.
The classic four on the floor.
Boom, yes. And the bass player, play to the kick drum. Whatever the kick drum's doing, that's what you play. That's the best advice I've ever got, and that's how my career started happening.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I tell every kid that asks me in Nashville when they move here, like, learn how to play the proper way. I know you're really good. I know you know how to play all this, Victor Wooten stuff, but that's not gonna work in a Miranda Lambert song. So like, we need you to just play the record, and I think that's the best advice that I ever got. So
awesome, man. I think that's some great advice, and congratulations on everything, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Awesome, man. Man, that was a great interview. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment, and check out my music on all streaming platforms at Justin McCormick. See you guys next time.